Just to ground ourselves on the terminology regarding the word demon. First, the word there, as you can see on the screen hopefully, the word in Hebrew is shedim or sedim, usually translated gods. So anyway, some translations do not have the word demons there. So sometimes they have idols, I believe. They might even have gods. Obviously is a typical Old Testament passage regarding the nation of Israel at that time being disobedient, unfaithful to the one God of Israel, Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to say it. And they are seduced. Sometimes they go after the other gods or demons of the nations around them. So this is the, if there's one thing that should be clear when you read your Old Testament, is that this idolatry issue is in the bones of everyone involved. These other nations happen to be demonized. Demonic powers are in play. Now we're looking at another word here. So we looked at the word shedim in Hebrew in Deuteronomy 32, Psalm 106. Here in Isaiah 2, we're in Isaiah 2, there's the word Elilim, which is an interesting word, Elilim, E-L-I-L-I-M, which is sort of, some commentators see it as a deliberate mock or a malformation of the word Elohim. So, yeah, it's usually translated idols or lords. But again, the Greek translation translates all these words, shedim and Elilim, simply as demons. We'll look at one last one that is related to the word demon. Right, so here now we have the introduction of not the word demon as such, but of this prince. Now in Greek it's archon. This word is very relevant to this issue of nations and being controlled or influenced by demons, because in the New Testament, archon is used a lot, for example, in the letter to the Ephesians by Paul, where he talks about we don't fight with flesh and blood, but we fight against the principalities, the powers, so the archon of the heavens, he says. So this story, this vision of Daniel with the archangel Michael, it's also understood as Michael being stopped by an opposing wicked angel, as the prince of Persia here, not the prince of Persia as a human being, the prince, you know, as the governor, let's say, of Persia, but actually a angelic force that the archangel Michael has to get past. That's a very bloody picture there of what God is going to do with these nations. Now, why is he going to do that with the nations of the world? Note the plural, nations, not 1, 2, 3, but all the nations. Because at the end of the day, there's a situation here where we are in a present evil age. The nations are demonized. This is similar, by the way, Isaiah 34, if you want to do a Bible study on this. Look at this in relation to Isaiah 2, the famous Isaiah 2 of Yahweh God will administer between the nations, and he will turn their plowshares, their weapons of war into plowshares, agricultural tools, and so on. But this is a classic text of regarding this topic. Remember that we actually talked about verse, I believe, 14, when we looked at the terminology of Hebrew words that mean demon in the Greek Bible, the Greek translation. Verse 14, remember we talked about those animals behind the word, the jackals and so on, you will find the words for demons. So you will find, I think it's the word shedim there. And if you look at other translations of this verse 14 especially, you will read something like wild animals will roam there. So there are animals, yeah. But behind some of those animals, it says demons will call to each other. And there's even a demoness called Lilith in the Hebrew here. Also note verse 1 and 12 has this word archon related to the Daniel 10. It talks about rulers. Archontes is the word there. The point being that Isaiah 34 is telling a story of how the wrath of God will come against the nations. But before it does, note that Isaiah sees a vision of a heavenly war first. See verse 5, my sword has drunk its fill in the heavens. Behold, it descends for judgment upon Edom. It reminds me of the vision in the Apocalypse of John, where remember as Jesus comes back, he comes back already with his clothes dipped in blood, remember? So the point here that it's that God will first destroy the demonic powers in the heavens, on earth, under the earth, that are behind also the wicked nations, and then he'll deal with humans, with us specifically, with the governors, with the kings, with the political military powers, and destroy them. In the future, the Holy One, blessed be he, will punish the kingdoms only after he has first punished their guardian angels. As it is said, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will punish the host of the high heaven on high, and only afterwards the kings of the earth upon the earth. So this is a rabbinic paraphrase of Exodus 15, verse 1, and the rabbis there cite also Isaiah 24:21, and so on. And you can find that in the book, a book called Naming the Powers by Wink. And the nations are being either, by the way, demonized, just to be clear, demonized simply, in my mind anyway, means influence, right? If you're demonized, you're being influenced by a wicked, sometimes, as we saw with the Nephilim and all that stuff of Genesis 6, sometimes by invisible, disembodied demons, as it looks to be the case. Some demons are in that form, have been retained in that form for the day of judgment, if you believe the Michael Heiser hypothesis of the children of the watcher angels being disembodied when they were destroyed in the flood.